Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Starting with the great name of Allah who is the most merciful and most beneficent. अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स, इंग्लिश एसे की एक नई वीडियो लेकर आप लोगों की खिदमत में हाजिर है। आज का हमारा टॉपिक डेमोक्रेसी के ऊपर है और टॉपिक का नाम है डेमोक्रेसी हैज़ फेल्ड टू डिलीवर इन पाकिस्तान। ये ऐसे तमाम कम्पिटेटिव एग्ज़ाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से हार्ड टॉपिक है। ये ऐसे CSS के एग्ज़ाम में पहले पूछा भी गया है। स्टूडेंट, हम कम्पिटेटिव एग्ज़ाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इस ऐसे को डिस्कस करेंगे। आप लोगों ने वीडियो को एंड तक लाजमी देखना। तो सबसे पहले हम एसे का आउटलाइन डिस्कस करेंगे। डेमोक्रेसी हैज़ फेल्ड टू डिलीवर इन पाकिस्तान। ऐसे आउटलाइन में सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन आएगा। दूसरे नंबर पे है काजेस ऑफ फेलियर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी। इसके अंदर फिर हम मंदरज़ेल पॉइंट को डिस्कस करेंगे। पहले नंबर पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे कॉलोनियल इनहेरिटेंस एंड इंस्टीट्यूशनल इम्बेलेंस। दूसरे नंबर पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे फ्रीक्वेंट इंटरवेंशन ऑफ नॉन सिविलियन फोर्सेस इनटू पॉलिटिकल डोमेन। तीसरे नंबर पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे वीक पार्टी सिस्टम। चौथे नंबर पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे नॉन डेमोक्रेटिक सोशल स्ट्रक्चर। उसके बाद फिर मैनिपुलेशन ऑफ इलेक्शन प्रोसेस, इसको डिस्कस करेंगे। उसके बाद तीसरे नंबर पे फिर हम सॉल्यूशंस या रिकमेंडेशन देंगे। तो पहला रिकमेंडेशन है रिकमेंडेशन फॉर स्टेट, इसको डिस्कस करेंगे। उसके बाद रिकमेंडेशन फॉर पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज आएगा। उसके बाद रिकमेंडेशन फॉर सिविल सोसाइटी को डिस्कस करेंगे। उसके बाद फिर रिकमेंडेशन फॉर यूथ और लास्ट पे हम इसे को कंक्लूड करेंगे। तो स्टूडेंट, ये थी इसे की आउटलाइन। अब हम पूरी इसे को डिस्कस करेंगे। डेमोक्रेसी हैज़ फेल्ड टू डिलीवर इन पाकिस्तान। स्टूडेंट, आप लोगों ने इससे में हेडिंग्स नहीं देनी है, ठीक है। मैंने आप लोगों की बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए हेडिंग्स दी है ताकि आप लोगों को अंदाज़ा हो जाए कि इंट्रोडक्शन कहाँ तक है, उसके बाद फिर काजेस कहाँ तक है, उसके बाद फिर रिकमेंडेशन कहाँ तक है और लास्ट में कंक्लूजन कहाँ तक है। मैंने सिर्फ आप लोगों की अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए ये हेडिंग्स दी है। डेमोक्रेसी हैज़ फेल्ड टू डिलीवर इन पाकिस्तान। इंट्रोडक्शन। Pakistan has been in quest for stable democratic system from its very inception. The process of its democratization has been slow and passive. Its nature has remained fragile. It has been showing high vulnerability towards non-democratic interventions. Besides, it has been easily falling prey to non-civilian forces. As a result, Pakistan has been continuously failing to offer what a democracy promises. Such pathetic scenario has various reasons behind it at all three levels: state, government and society. From where it start, Pakistan has chosen democratic form of government for itself. Its founders had ardently supported and emphasized for democratic system that could ideally permeate the governance structure and body politic of Pakistan. Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's speech at the Staff College on June 14, 1948 is the witness of his staunch support for democracy as a corresponding structure for the polity of Pakistan to make it people-friendly and welfare state. However, it is another fact that Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah himself laid the foundation of non-democratic tolerance through centralizing structure of Muslim League, dissolving non-democratically Sindh Assembly and the Ministry of Khan Sahib in NWFP in 1948. Despite all this, what he chose and dreamed for Pakistan about system is undoubtedly democracy. But unfortunately, being constitutionally a democratic country, Pakistan entirely failed to offer what constitutional democracies offer, viz. Sovereign parliament, free, fair and regular elections, supremacy of constitution, independent judiciary, rule of law, civilian control over the armed forces, political life free from military involvement, safety to minority rights, provision of basic human needs and a guarantee of freedoms of movement, expression, association and assembly. Contrary to dreams, hopes and promises, what Pakistan offers is the checkered history of democracy and unstable democratic process. Ironically, the country's constitution has been abrogated twice, 1958 and 1969, and suspended thrice, 1977, 1999 and 2007. More than half of its political life has been encroached by military generals. 5 elected governments have been removed by army. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the founder of political vibrancy, mass-based politics and giver of atomic power to Pakistan, was ruthlessly executed through judicial murder. Ex-Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Benazir Bhutto were exiled. Causes of failure of democracy. Nothing exists without any reason in universe. Creation of everything carries reason with itself. Moreover, according to principle of cause and effect, unless the root causes of any problem are not accurately identified and thoroughly diagnosed, problem can't be solved on sustainable basis. Therefore, let's find and discuss the causes behind such weak, vulnerable, and dented phase and the status of democracy in Pakistan and try to reach at workable solutions. Colonial inheritance and institutional imbalance. From time of its very creation, Pakistan has been experiencing institutional imbalance. Its roots go back to British period. Pakistan inherited administrative, political and legal legacies of British period. From political and administrative legacies point of view, Pakistan inherited high institutional imbalance characterized with strong and organized civil and military bureaucracies, weak political institutions, and non-democratic political parties. As a result, it lacked strong, dynamic, and sustainable political institutions which could hold regular elections based on universal franchise, could build trust of masses into democracy, could protect the democratic process against constitutional transgression, and could provide a conducive environment for democracy to flourish, and could correspond to desires and aspirations of masses. Muslim League, which is credited to creation of Pakistan, was a movement, not a well-structured and deeply rooted political entity that could offer post-partition program, could counter the power of army and bureaucracy, and could offer corresponding structure to desires and needs of masses after the partition. Besides, League was non-democratic in its nature, led by elitists. Consequently, it could not produce first-line as well as second-line leadership embedded with love for democratic norms and values in particular and overall democratic culture in general. In this backdrop, administrative supremacy coupled with absence of elections based on universal franchise in particular and lack of democratic culture and process in general facilitated Democrats to win the country from 1947 to 1958. Their periods is characterized with dummy and rubber stamp parliaments, abrupt and non-democratic dissolutions of assemblies, political intrigues, bickering and quarreling, inefficiency, abrupt and fast changes of regimes, frequent intervention of non-civilian forces into political domain. Failure of bureaucratic regimes created space for army, which was more organized than even civilian bureaucracies to intervene into political domains of country. Formal involvement of army into civilian matters began from martial law in Lahore in 1953 to control the riots between Ahmadis and Sunnis. Thereafter, from 1958, army has ruled the country with a short size as well as of a newborn baby of so-called democratic regimes. Field Marshal Ayub Khan ruled the country from 1958 to 1969. General Yahya Khan from 1969 to 1971. General Zia from 1977 to 1989. General Parvez Musharraf from 1999 to 2008. All four military regimes have remained characterized with impositions of martial law, ban on political parties, censorship on media, dissolution of assemblies, and abrogation or suspension of constitutions. Thus, they destroy political institutions and frustrated the forces with media, political parties that support and channelize consolidation of democracy. Weak party system. One among the major forces which countered the military interventions into political domain and extra-constitutional steps are genuine political parties with a mass-based support. But unfortunately, Pakistan has been lacking strong and efficient party system, which is very vital ingredient for democracy. Democracy can neither exist nor can consolidate its process without strong, vibrant, vigilant, and efficient political parties. Political parties play indispensable role in strengthening democracy in various ways. Parties translate various values and aspects of democracy into reality. They work to institutionalize the diversity of opinions. The beauty of democracy translates ideological strength of masses into organizational shape, work as a channel to elect representatives, serve as a mean whereby power is peacefully transformed, serve as a platform to mobilize, sensitize, and educate public, and stand as a bridge between public and government. In order to do all these tasks in letter and spirit, political parties need to be systematically networked, deeply rooted into masses, and internally democratic and operationally efficient, immune to internal divisions, sustaining worse times, and outliving the death of its founders. But unfortunately, party system in Pakistan has remained very weak. Resultantly, it has created space for non-political forces to emerge into political arena. It is proven fact that, apart from other reasons behind the overt and covert rule of dictators in Pakistan, absence of strong party system has remained one of the potent causes. Such non-democratic orientation of political parties has weakened the culture of competition, bred nepotism and created incompetency, which has obstructed the democratic process of parties as well as country. Non-democratic social structure. The nature and structure of society translates itself into nature and structure of political institutions. Political institutions don't emerge in vacuum. They are expression of social institutions. Political and societal composition interplay and influence each other. That is why it is said that democracy is not external but internal phenomena. You cannot plant it like an artificial tree, but can set up it through a particular process of democratization. Social structure of Pakistan is by and large feudal. From very its pre-partition time, two forces which British ruler and Muslim League, ironically who claim and still claims champion of democracy, have supported consolidation of feudal structure in the regions which constitute present Pakistan. Feudalism and democracy are two quite controversial norms. Feudalism is driven by principles of one person show, oppression, bondage, slavery, whereas democracy is driven by principles of participation, peace, equality, pluralism, and freedom. Owing to this, the nature of parliaments and political parties has remained non-democratic in Pakistan. Pakistan has been remaining at the mercy of either these feudal politicians or military generals. One among the reasons which has made India to emerge as democratic polity is that it has abolished feudalism from very its inception. But Muslim League perpetuated and consolidated this system because it was party of feudal itself, whereas Congress, owing to its class question orientation, has been anti-feudalism. Post-partition history of Pakistan is marked with some initiatives taken for land reforms to lose the grip of feudalism. Ayub, then president, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then prime, introduced the reforms, but the reforms introduced by both were ineffective, secondary in their nature, and devoid of genuine intent. Such feudal structure of society of Pakistan has been obstructing democratic process into various ways. It has translated non-democratic trends into political culture. Secondly, it has impeded development of participatory culture. Thirdly, it has formed elitist orientations of politics. Fourthly, it has impeded bourgeoisie middle class, which is a support mechanism to democracy. Lastly, it has been obstructing free and independent choice of public in elections, which is basic and indispensable component of free elections. Manipulation of election process. Free and fair elections are major component of representative democracy. For democracy is in one way name of popular government which is not possible without free and fair process of election that guarantees genuine representation of masses in parliament. Besides, elections are the source of peaceful regime change. People resort to violent means of change if elections can't represent their aspiration, needs, and fails to offer them due and fair space. In this regard, Pakistan has dismal image to show. All the general elections except of 1971 and 2006 to some extent have been manipulated in one or other way either at pre, during or post phase of the elections. The manipulation has been voraciously demonstrated into form of political victimization, gerrymandering, stuffed ballot boxes, intimidation of polling staff, pressurizing masses, use of state assets, and violating rule of election commission set for the election. Consequently, elections could not have been instrumental to determine the will of the people and have eroded trust of masses in democracy. If election could have proven to be instrumental in representing genuine will of people, the elected representatives must have elevated dignity of parliament, worked for strengthening of democracy and for welfare of masses, whereby developing their trust in democracy. Solutions or recommendations. The problem of democracy is solvable in Pakistan if genuine steps are taken with a cohesive and integrated approach. Let me extend few suggestions for strengthening democratic system, process, and culture in Pakistan. Feudalism should be immediately abolished to enable elections genuine instrumental of people's wishes, to create participatory culture, to develop democratic values, and to transform social tendencies into dynamism, which altogether help consolidation of democratic process. Judiciary should be made independent so as to enable it to ensure implementation of rule of law, to undo and stop all legal and constitutional transgressions. Parliament should be made sovereign. A specific channel should be launched in Parliament that air proceedings to make masses aware of what is going into it. It will make legislatures serious and responsible in their conduct and will push them to chalk out people's friendly policies, which in turn will make governance efficient and will build trust of masses in democracy. In this way, space and need to call to army to intervene in political domain will dwindle largely. Supremacy of constitution should be ensured. Article 6 should be practiced in letter and spirit to check all constitutional abrogations, which has been by and large affecting democratic process in Pakistan. Free and fair election should be ensured through independent election commission in order to prevent the rigging. Democracy education should be incorporated in the syllabus at all levels of education to promote and create democratic values, norms, and practices in youth the particular and in masses in general. Political party rules 2002 should be strictly implemented in order to help democratic structure and conduct of political parties. Funds should be allotted on the basis of membership to political parties in order to strengthen them to work effectively for democracy. Recommendation for political parties. Political parties should develop well-defined people-friendly ideology, expand their organizational network, perform structurally and operationally democratic, develop strong coordination between their lower and higher tiers, train their staff and impart democratic education to mass to give outlook of political entities, which could generate the atmosphere of democracy within and outside of them, counter the supremacy of non-political institutions, counter the constitutional transgression through public resort mastered by resorting their trust in political parties. For civil society organizations, Civil society organizations should impart democracy education to general masses, youth, political workers, media persons, and writers. Enhance capacity of political parties and other stakeholders in order to make them vigilant, vibrant, responsive towards question and issue of democracy. Impart liberal, progressive, and political education to masses in order to create political society to create conducive atmosphere for democracy. Lobby with the lawmakers to pursue them to take concrete initiatives for consultation of democracy, such as incorporation of democracy education in syllabus, allocation of funds for political parties, etc. Launch advocacy programs to highlight non-democratic trends and actions. Launch capacity building programs for youth to inculcate love for politics and democracy into them. Recommendations for youth. Youth is the most significant part of any human society. They have played indispensable role in emancipation of human being. With fresh and hard blood, youth is always inclined towards activism, dynamism, change, and novelty. Populations of Pakistan constitute almost 35% of youth. Therefore, they also share the onus of enhancing democracy in Pakistan. Their indifferent attitude towards democracy in particular and towards politics in general will counterproduct rather produce constructively for consolidation of democracy. Therefore, youth of Pakistan should join political parties after academic education because what execute plans for democracy most effectively are political parties. Should raise the issue and the question of democracy in print and electronic media. Impart democracy education into their constituencies, register their vote and take active part in election process, join national and international youth organizations which work for democracy. Conclusion. Short analysis reveals that Pakistan has been bitterly experiencing checkered history of democracy, weak political institutions, frequent military interventions, frequent dissolution of civilian governments, engineering and flawed election process, weak party system, lack of constitutionalism and lack of rule of laws has been obstructing way for promotion of genuine democracy in Pakistan, which would be characterized with a sovereign parliament, free, fair and regular elections, supremacy of constitutions, independent judiciary, rule of law, civilian control over the armed forces, political life free from military involvement, safety of minority rights, provision of basic human needs, and a guarantee of freedom of movement, expression, association, and assembly. In this backdrop, onus lies on state institutions, political parties, civil society organizations, and youth to play part of their role as enumerated in recommendation given above to create space for democracy to entrench itself firmly in Pakistan as it could be delivering and substantial. Thanks for watching.